All right. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Elder. This is the Open Debate. What does ANTIFA mean? As well as Canadian Emergency Measures Acts have been lifted. Yada yada yada. Everybody can come to their own conclusions. That's what we're here to do. I want to hear from you. What do you guys think? We're going to be going live for a little while. Hey Dusty, how you doing tonight? Just want to know what everybody's thinking, how they're feeling, and we'll go from there. Essentially, yeah, that's where we're at. And yeah, everybody can talk in the chat. Tell everybody what they're thinking. If you're able to request to join, make sure you hit the co-host button and request to join. I'll pop you into the chat. If you have something to say, come on and say it. This is the Open Debate. We go live every evening and give the Canadian citizens and citizens around the world a platform to speak, a platform to tell people what they feel and how they're feeling and what they're thinking throughout the day. Unfiltered Humans is the slogan. That's who we are. That's what we're doing. People speaking around about what they feel from their hearts. So come on in. If you have something to say, tell us how you feel. My name is Elder. This is the Open Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, you can always hit up the PayPal there. Open the Debate. Always grateful. Keeps the streams going. Keeps these lives happening at 9 p.m. each evening. And keeps the opinions of the average citizen open to having their opinions heard. So if you'd like that sort of thing, follow the channel and make sure that you're here each evening because we go live for these types of discussions. If you want to hop in, make sure you hit the co-host button. Pop in. My name's Elder. I'm ready to have the conversation. Lots of individuals saying that they are or are not, so let's hear what you have to say. If you are there, if you're able to join, come on and join, guys. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. We will wait for some people to pop in, and when they do, we will keep going. Thank you for the roses. Gifts are always appreciated. And as I say, gifts are not needed, and watch time is not needed. But at the end of each stream, I do follow those who have gifted and followed and watched for the most. So they give a list of individuals at the end, and I just follow the people that have been on the stream. And if you pop into the stream, I also follow those people back. It's just so that we can keep the conversations going. So let's do that. Let's have a good night. Elder, my name's Elder with an E, like an old man. How you doing there? But I don't say your name either, right? Reiki? Is it Reiki? Thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, it's good to see some reoccurring faces, and let's build the community into some individuals who are ready to have some good conversations. Hey there, Uncle Leachy. Thanks for joining us on the Open Debate. How you doing tonight?
Oh, it's Uncle Chetty. How you doing tonight, bud?
Good, Uncle Chetty.
No, I think it's pretty cool that people just hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah, have you been on the streams before? Have you checked out the live stream or anything like that before?
No, I just was trying to get in that. I think people just need to start taking the chill pill.
Yeah. So
Well, I mean,
I go.
explain to me on what your chill pill would be, because I mean, I think people need to calm down a little bit and then stop looking at sports and all the other bullshit, and then try to figure out where our money's going.
Yeah, so I go live every night here, and have a group of people that I work with here. But we go live and we talk about different topics each evening, and try to get a group of individuals to come together who are willing to talk about things that are contradictory to their own world beliefs, their own world views, but open themselves up to hearing information that you may not hear. So whether you're on the left or the right, no matter what you believe, if you think that you're being microchipped or you think that everybody needs to be jabbed, um,
No, I'm not.
there's no. What I'm saying is, like, regardless of who you are on either side, like super far left or super far right, there's information that you don't get to hear. And so being able to expose yourself to that information and understanding why people believe the things that they believe is the reason that I'm making these streams. And so and the reason that I'm
Okay,
having these
so
discussions, right? So like,
we'll
yeah,
keep it
go on.
less political here for just a second. Now, I want to hear everybody's honest opinion on who built the pyramids.
Right? Exactly. That's where I'm trying to move to. I feel you, man. That's
That's,
exactly what I'm saying.
because
Right? The whole point of these
regardless
streams
of
is
the
to bring
science
people
or anything
together.
else,
Yeah. It's to
yeah,
bring people together. What like so that we can talk about things like that, the things that matter. The things that matter. Who
that's
brought together
exactly what matters
who
because that
yeah.
thing has been sitting out there for fucking years, and nobody's like, "Hey, we can build this thing with laser precision." And
And then how? But why? And why can nobody come to an agreement around how it was built if we're supposed to be so advanced compared to the civilization that was living at the time?
yeah, well, I mean, big stones, but I'm not an Egyptologist by any means. Just had a couple drinks tonight. Seen your podcast. I enjoy it.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad to be a
No.
part of your live, so I gotta give you a little bit of streaming here. But
Mhm.
if you're gonna go on that merit, then that's pretty deep. Because who built them and why? And why are they just hanging out there having a good time? Go ahead.
I agree. That's a good question. And those are the type of topics that I'd like to get to, where things that we all agree on, and or not maybe not agree on, but things that we all have a a question or a query about, where it isn't political and it isn't diversive. It's just something that we all think about. And the more that individuals who believe they're not in agreement with other individuals about hard topics talk about things, they realize that they are in agreement with the grand scheme of things. Like this, we can have conversations. It doesn't matter what your political views are. It just matters what
Yeah,
happened. We can have the conversation. What happened
we're
and why?
we're
What
over
what
we're
happened with
over
the
the
pyramids?
political stuff now. What I'm just trying to say is, how do people line three triangles, kind of triangle thingies, out in the middle of nowhere that line up with? I see your
With the
discontent.
sun, with the
Well,
sun,
I
and
mean, they
no,
line up with a lot of shit, and there's people that have way more mathematical and obviously very more proper things than I do about how they think it happened or whatever it's trying to do. But everybody else should try to say, hey, what's going on here? It's not just the Egyptians built this thing.
right? And then even if the Egyptians did build the pyramids, like what was happening in their society at that time where they were so mathematically advanced, and what was happening in their society where that we don't know about that allowed them to have the technology to build those pyramids? Because we, as of right now, we can't fathom how they were built.
It seems pretty weird because, I mean, you can hire six contractors to build a Dollar General and the doors can't even be straight. But a long time ago, they could chisel out some limestone and align it with the stars.
Right?
It's pretty cool, huh?
It's pretty interesting. Like why and how and who?
I'm telling you, that's like probably the deepest shit we're ever going to talk about in our lives. Excuse me for swearing if it's a PC kind of thing here.
No, you're all good. It's free. You're open to say whatever you'd like.
I appreciate having me on here, but still, I mean, and then why the stars that they're pointing it at? Why no
And what's up with
explanation?
them? Yeah, what's up with them? What's going on with those? I'm all tongue tied. What's going on with those specific stars, right?
Shit's funny. Uh, but on a serious note, like there is no purpose, and then they're like, hey, they're just hanging out with us for a little bit here.
What, the aliens?
I didn't say nothing about aliens.
I did. Yeah. We assume. I don't know. What like Whatever's happening out there, you
I mean,
know.
who built the giant fucking triangles, man?
Right? That's what we gotta ask. The aliens or
Well,
us?
somebody did, but like somebody owes us an explanation.
That's also the question. That's why these sort of conversations are fun, right? Where it's like
Yeah, the question is the answer.
the question, then like you get sort of things like that, where it's like, well, who the aliens? Like, who the fuck said aliens? It's like, well, it's just kind of like the assumed situation that we're talking about. It's like, well, where did it come? Why is that assumed? It's like because it's so unfathomable. How did they make it? But also think about this,
No,
man.
that's the deep part because if it was humans a long time ago, we would have been pretty fucking smart, and they all just like hung out and like cleaned up all their tools and everything else, and there's nothing around there anymore. And it's like here's some sand and some giant triangles. Like it's kind of fucky.
Here's the question, man, because that's the whole thing. It's like, because it always is like political. Like they always say, don't talk about political, religious, or like financial shit with your friends, right? Because that's not like fun. But
We weren't talking
things
about
come.
political things. We were talking about who
No,
built
no,
the giant triangles.
no, no, we're not. No, we're not. But I'm saying that it comes back, like I said, don't they say the question, the thing is, political, religious, or financial stuff. Don't talk about that with your friends because it's not fun. But things come back to that shit, man. We're talking about the pyramids, right? So it's like where did they come from? And then um you're saying like, yo, fucking, you know, there's a whole era where if they were super smart, why aren't we super smart now? And then there are religious people out there that say, because we don't know, man. Like I'm telling you, like I'm. This is the whole point of this show, right? It's not
That's
that
what
like
I'm
because
telling
all
you.
this
I
stuff
got you.
seems,
I got you kind of wrapped here because what I'm trying to
yeah.
say is like, if we're smart enough to make a fucking perfect, perfect fucking triangle in the sky, whatever else, like we're just gonna die off and let somebody else just start a Roman Empire after that. That is
I
totally
agree with
fine.
you. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying, man. Where it's
Like
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 back in the day, like
okay,
they
just go
could,
have sex in bathhouses after that. We build a giant triangle. Life is good.
you, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like back then, like shit could have been like more advanced than now, and then like uh, shit could just like what this is okay. This is what I'm saying. Back then, the Egyptian pyramids, all this crazy stuff. Who knows? Now it's been like hundreds of thousands of years, perhaps, and we only see remnants. But back in the Egyptian days, perhaps stuff was like more advanced than we're seeing now, and maybe it wasn't the exact same as we have, but they different things. And then something crazy fucking happened, and we
I
lost this
got I gotta
technology.
bust your balls because if you're saying that it's 100,000 years ago that they built these giant triangles, it's pretty
I
fucked.
don't know. I don't know how long ago. I'm just saying like a
No,
crazy number. I'm just saying a large number. Yeah.
I'm just saying people were really smart, and I think it was us, not some green skin guys. Like that come down from, type stuff.
Yeah, I agree
So I
with you.
stopped the
I
alien,
agree.
and excuse my choice of words,
What, your
but what I was
alien
trying,
language?
yeah,
Your name.
yeah.
No,
But
man. I agree
you're
with you.
telling me a long time ago, some people made some triangles. We're just like, fuck it, we're gonna just make triangles. We're gonna
Yeah.
point them at these little specks of light in the sky, and we're just gonna bug out and wait for like 500 years, and then the Roman Empire comes up, and then it's like we have bathhouses and sex and aqueducts. There is a gap, and there is an explanation that needs to be had.
There is, man. There is. But everything that you look into is like, oh, you're just like you're crazy. It's like weird. Or it's like, oh, maybe they had batteries in Iran back like whole way back in the day, and it's like, no, you're just stupid. Those are clay pots. It's like, well, what do you
Well,
mean? This is like
because
interesting.
it'll probably actually fuck with religion. So the Orthodox, which is known as the norm, right? The Orthodox is everything norm. What if everything we were taught in school is kind of a little fucked up because they didn't know what was going on with the giant triangles? They were kind of scared at it. They wrote some weird ass books and said that these Egyptians just buried some people in tombs and it was no big deal. Don't mind these giant triangles.
Yeah, have you ever heard of like the Egyptian shit that's been found in the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, like people have been found for like 10,000 years ago. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. Like there's actually crazy stuff, but it's just like pseudoscience, they say, and it's not like
Well, that's
there's
what I
so
mean.
many
Is it's
stories
it's
too.
it's not orthodox. So like, if if you prove that somebody was in America 10,000 years ago, even building a fire or taking a shit in the woods,
Yeah.
I mean, it throws Jesus out of the picture. He's like, that motherfucker shouldn't have been there because there was somebody shitting in the woods in America 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, I think that it can, of course, for sure. And I think that that's like the whole thing that individual like people are super like hard set in their timelines and like in their world beliefs. So if something doesn't add up, then their entire world belief is shattered rather than reevaluating what they believe. Where it's like, you know, we don't like scientists have not come to a firm conclusion on how old the world is, right? So it's like you can say, "Oh, well, it's 1.6 billion years old," or you can say it's like some people, I don't know, you can say the carbon dating. I'm telling you, conspiracy stuff is interesting to look into. The more you look into stuff, the more that you look into real empirical data and scientific evidence around experiments that have happened and things that you can prove and recreate, you realize the universe and the world that we live in is super mysterious and we really don't
Yeah, and
know
the
what's
more problems
happening.
that they find. And
Yeah.
then how are you going to go on the so you talked about radiocarbon dating or whatever else. Let's go back to radio waves where we just take a snapshot of the picture and then scientists are like universe, this is the picture of the universe. Like the whole thing? Like you just take that
The
20
whole
years
thing,
ago,
right?
like, like, all right, we got it. Like pretty
That was
fucked
good.
up, like
Yeah. So wait, you just got the whole thing right there in one
yeah,
shot?
like
That's good.
don't
Wow.
worry about it.
Damn.
We know everything about how big it is and it's expanding and don't worry about it. It's
Yeah,
pretty
a
fun.
lot of things that people take as facts are theories. So it's like theoretical science. So like even black holes, the idea of black holes, it's a theoretical science. We don't really know, but we
Oh, they
assume.
took a
And
picture of one last year.
of course, but it's still a theory. Like the theories around how they work and what's happening is it's all theories. So like they haven't. You can't prove anything. You can't demonstrate it. And you can't recreate any of these theories that they have. The same as like
You and
it's
I
really
have watched
interesting.
the movie Event Horizon. It happens.
No, I
The
don't.
ship goes to
Yeah.
hell and shows up 7 years later, and then we're fine.
Damn, that's it. Well, they always tell us the future in movies, so it probably is true.
And who's the guy that tells you to take the red pill or blue pill?
Uh, Not Neo. This is the black guy,
Morpheus. But what's Morpheus'
Morpheus.
actor's name?
Oh, I'm not sure. Morpheus to me, he's passed away, didn't he? Rest in peace, Morpheus.
I don't think
He
so.
definitely did. I think he
It
did because
did?
I don't think he was in the new movies. Yeah, I don't think he was in the new. I watched the new
How we're gonna
Matrix.
feed it with
I
content.
I
So
did you
we,
see the
we
new
got we
Matrix?
got movie references in here.
Wait, what?
I said now we're gonna feed it with content because we got movie references in here.
Yeah, no spoilers. Did you see the new Matrix?
No, I didn't even know there was one. I was talking about Morpheus before it was the Matrix.
Oh yeah. We were talking about giving the red pill, blue pill, red. Yeah, no. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, I don't know all this crazy shit. I don't know. Life's crazy, right? Life's crazy. I watched
This
the
is
new Matrix.
hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. I watched the new Matrix though, man. I'm telling you. Did you watch the old one?
You mean the ones that were made before now?
Yeah, like in the '90s, like the classic Matrix movies. That's all you need to see for this new one, really. Because I never kept up with shit. I don't know what the hell's happening.
Gotta see the old ones before you can see the new ones. Dude, you
Yeah.
are my favorite. All right, we'll reel it in here in a second.
Yeah. No, okay, look, yo, this is what I'm telling you. Look at in the comments, people. Matrix is about trans rights. Fucking like everything comes back to politics, man. I'm telling you right now. It's like
Who the
I
fuck
watched the new
cares? You
Matrix.
know, we were talking about the Matrix. Like
That's what I'm
somebody
saying.
wants to tuck their dick in their pants. Like fuck
Yeah,
you.
no, but that's what I'm saying. I watched the new Matrix, right? And the reason people say that is because it's super like woke. Like there's so many characters that have sexualities that are portrayed for no reason and it's just put out for no reason and someone is like but that doesn't really play into the movie. The movie
I got a
itself,
cat with a dick gina. Like
yeah,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
yeah. It's like you
That's
don't need to
that's
point
what's
it
really
out.
funny. It's like in general, like everybody's tolerant about shit, but like at the same point in time, like we don't give a flying fuck if we like I shoot unicorn farts out of my ass and have three dicks. Like who cares? But like like don't
No, I
throw your
agree.
confetti on me.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, which is good to have these type of conversations because I haven't had somebody on that has been as liberal as you are, but as respectful and also like open to just saying things because we're not talking about politics, we're talking about life. And the way that you're saying it is like that's how people feel, man. It's like, yo, I don't care what you do. Just stop fucking with me. Like, I don't care what you do. Stop caring what I do. Like, I'm not gonna stop you from living your life, and I'm not gonna discriminate you from doing what you do. But like, you don't ask me what the fuck I do with my girlfriend when we're having sex. I don't give a fuck what you do with whoever the fuck you do whatever you do with.
That's pretty deep. I enjoy it.
That's pretty deep, he says.
But what I'm trying to say too is on the same fact. If we're gonna have some folks in here, like exactly what you just said, you could do the same thing about masks or whatever else. If the liberal
Yeah.
side of it was pro body, pro choice, then now all we gotta do is put masks in and get vaxxed. Like something's gotta give here.
I agree, man. But what about the aliens, though?
What aliens? There is no
The
aliens.
pyramids.
We gotta go back to the pyramids.
Yeah.
We can keep that shit real. So why a sphinx? Why half lion, half person?
The question is, was it always a lion and a person, or was it changed?
You need help clearing that drain.
That's how it goes. That's how you have to keep it
I don't know
calm.
where you live, but we need to hang out.
No, I'm in Canada.
What part of Canada?
Northumberland, Ontario.
Ontario?
Yeah,
North of Ontario?
Northumberland County.
I'm not trying to like satellite link you or anything.
No, Northumberland County. You hear me?
Barely. You gonna get some spaghettios, bud?
Yeah, trying to. No, Northumberland County. It's like an hour east of Toronto, 2 hours west of Ottawa, or yeah, Ottawa.
Help me on my geography. What province is that? Because I'm from Iowa, dude. So I'm like, I think Manitoba's up straight from me.
So you're from Idaho? You're from Idaho?
No, that's where they make potatoes.
Where did you say you're from?
Iowa.
Oh, Ottawa.
Iowa.
Iowa. Where the fuck's
Yeah.
that? I know Iowa is a state or a
So
city at
like
least. Where is it?
is Alberta or Manitoba up above Minnesota? Which one?
I think that it is Manitoba, so that's closer to me. I think. Mhm.
Yeah, so then like it's like Minnesota and Iowa. I'm a little south.
Yeah, yeah. Montana's below Alberta.
Dude, it's pretty good. You got all that fucking bubbly stuff out of that drain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. The one thing Trudeau did for Canada, federally legal. China may not agree, but Canada
Federally
does.
legalized cleaning out drains.
Yeah, drains clean, good here, and none of them are clogged. They keep it good. But yeah, man, no, I completely agree that these kind of conversations break through the boundaries of what I usually talk about on this channel, which is good because it's good to have conversations with people that like I don't know what you believe. It doesn't matter what you believe, but the point is that what's on
We
the
believe
screen
that
doesn't
somebody
matter.
made some fucking triangles out of the middle of nowhere, and we got to
And
figure out
that's
why.
yeah. That's the thing. It's like it's a bit of not a debate. The open debate. The whole point of the open debate is like the open-ended question. I guess you could say the conversation between individuals who don't fully know. If you don't agree, if you don't feel as though you have all the answers and you'd like to hear other people's opinions and talk to them about what they believe, then this is the place to come. It doesn't have to be political. We're talking about the pyramids right now. All of a sudden, and it's good because like I don't know, you don't know, we don't know. It's a good question. I love to know all about it. Like I love to inquire. So it is what it is. And we keep it calm. That's hence the bubbly.
Yeah, I mean it sets the tone.
Yeah, right. How's your night going though? What have you been up to?
Oh, it's pretty cold here. It's -2, so it's like -1 billion C because we're too ignorant to understand the metric system up down here. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Seems to be the way that it goes. More than half the time. I'm gonna bring
okay,
Dusty in the chat to
but
talk with us.
that's totally fine.
Dusty,
Hey,
thanks for joining us on the open debate. How you doing tonight?
oh, not too bad. You?
No, not too bad. Thanks for joining us again.
I enjoy this. I just thought I'd jump in. The pyramids is an interesting topic of discussion. So check.
Explain your best one.
Sorry.
Well, explain your wildest dream of them.
Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna have to go with ancient civilization on that one. A civilization that either got too smart for this planet, or a civilization that got too smart for its own good.
Well, how
Yeah.
would they
Okay.
screw themselves?
How would they what?
If they're too smart, how would they screw themselves?
Well, our civilization got to the point where we have nuclear weapons that could eradicate the whole planet. Who's to say that a civilization one point didn't reach a technological state, made a massive mistake, and extinct themselves?
It's pretty deep, bro.
Hey, it's it's a possible theory. No one can prove me wrong. So you're out in Iowa, are you?
Yep,
Whereabouts?
in the middle.
In the middle. Is the middle near Manchester?
Nah, near Fort Dodge.
Okay.
We
I
gotta
just
keep it
got
fresh. We gotta keep talking about the pyramids or something.
I got a buddy that he's from Iowa. He's from Manchester.
So why do you think they made the Sphinx? I have retainers in, so I have a list.
Well, possibly that the Sphinx was made and the same reason that we make gargoyles nowadays on our buildings. Just a fancy decoration that an artist went, "Oh, I'm going to build this because it looks cool." And then when
But the
Ramses,
son of a bitch is like 300 feet tall.
So, and then when
Pretty fancy
when
house
Ramses
decoration.
when Ramses became the pharaoh, he put his face on the Sphinx, which got rid of the original artist's rendition of whatever its original face was. Again, it's just a theory, but I've seen
I
worse
think
art
the,
being
I
created
think
these
the
days.
Egyptians came after.
Okay, I think this too. Okay, I agree because like I have to say this for sure. There's lots of historical information or stories that the original quote unquote Egyptian civilization has about a culture that was there before them that had created a lot of the monuments and structures that we see from modern or quote unquote like what we'd consider like they're ancient but modern Egyptian cultures, not modern. You guys know what I'm saying? Like ancient Egyptian cultures, but those cultures believe that they had lots of structures that had come from previous individuals. The same as a lot of cultures around the world. So it's not just the Egyptians, but the Mayans believe that a lot of their structures came from previous civilizations and they inherited those structures in those communities. And so, how do you guys feel about that?
Well, that's
Oh,
kind of what
I was
I
gonna
was
say,
saying.
yeah. Let's start with Dusty here.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying. An ancient civilization that's no longer around for one reason or another built the pyramids and the Sphinx, and at whatever point they disappeared. How they disappeared is a mystery. Whether they got the technological advancement to leave the planet or whether they eradicated themselves through getting too smart for their own good, as it were. Uh, and the pyramids were strong enough structures to last. And like you said, the Egyptians, when they came in, they just took the structures as their own. Hence, the Sphinx having the face of a human, which would be one of the pharaohs.
Okay, so Uncle Chetty, is that Chetty? How do I say it?
Yeah.
Chetty.
Well, I'm not as well spoken as Mr. Dusty over here on my behalf, but I'm still there's a person that's probably shunned a little bit, or his name's Graham Hancock, and I am a firm believer in every 10,000 years or so, a giant rock comes in and smacks us in the face, and we don't even know about it, and it shut down the big giant triangles, whatever they were doing. And then at
So
the same point in time, every religion fired up about 3,000 years ago with hellfire, brimstone, and floods, and it got weird.
okay,
Yeah, that's a
so let me
terrifying
ask
thought.
this. Well, let me ask this then. So, are you speaking about the Anunnaki?
Uh, it, to to an extent,
Quote unquote, like just like a broad scale, just so that we can get like I can get a reference, so I can ask like another question, like
well,
broad scale, like a
that's
foreign star that comes into orbit every now and then has an impact on our civilization that may or may not have had an impact on the advancement of our civilization. That's what I mean by when I say
so so
Anunnaki.
so that's pretty deep in how I even want to drift, because that almost leads to extraterrestrials, right? So, or
It
aliens.
depends on what you believe and how you feel, right? But it's like that's up to interpretation.
My
That's why it's important
my
to debate, right?
my theory of being nobody that's just somebody that's sitting on the couch drinking some beers is that, I don't know. Sure, we had a nice, smart civilization that built some fucking giant triangles that were fucking laser precision. We were on the track to doing something good. A giant rock comes in because it's very arbitrary and smashes in and fucks everybody's world up. 1,000 years later, the Egyptians come in. They're like, "Hey, we kind of remember some things about some stories that were told, so we're going to scratch some shit on here, and then every other civilization around the world is like, hey, uh, we seen a great fire and a great flood, and now we're going to tell a story about being nice to each other because we don't want that shit to happen again.
Well, I don't know about any giant rocks affecting the planet, but I do know we have 64.9 million years unaccounted for. We figure humans have only been on the planet for 100,000 years. What happened between the dinosaurs and humans? How many civilizations could have existed in that time frame that just over time eroded out of existence, and we'd never know it? We'd never be able to prove that they were here or not. And we do
Can I,
find strange artifacts every once in a while that just
Mr.
seem out of
Dusty,
place.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I live in what's called the Manson crater. It
Mm-hmm.
was it's one of the largest craters in North America. And you said 65 million years.
Yep.
They thought this was the crater. So if you look it up, it's the Manson crater in Iowa.
Okay.
They thought it's what killed the dinosaurs. If any of us in any of this viewing area or talking area would have been absolutely obliterated by this son of a bitch because it made a 30-mile crater. My theory on a giant rock is things hit the earth all the time.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that we could have had a smart people at some point in time, and just randomly a rock comes in, smashes all of our fucking shit to oblivion. And excuse my French because I've had drinks.
You're good. You can speak freely. You're okay.
Yes.
Dusty, I'll let you to respond, and then I'll maybe
But
give a
go
response.
go
But
go
ahead.
back ahead. I'll stay quiet.
You're good. You're good.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on online about the Manson crater about 74. I think that's millennia ago. But yeah, I don't think anybody's disputed that the dinosaurs were taken out by an asteroid hitting the planet, and a large one at that. But this asteroids hitting the planet of an extinction level are so few and far between. It's the same theory as trying to find a needle in a haystack. We're just such a small, tiny little target that they are the exception to the rule rather than the rule. We're not in the way of a bunch of giant rocks floating through space.
Can I
We are,
reference you to the Greenland crater? If you're on Google, look at the Greenland crater,
yes,
found in
we,
2011.
Okay, I wanna like steer the conversation in this way, and you can continue to have this conversation as well. But I want this idea interjected into what you're talking about as well, because my views, I'm not gonna like I don't push my views super hard on this channel because I try to. This is the open debate, so this is a channel that I try to have people come on and give their point of view. I have a second channel where I speak my own opinion and tell people how I personally feel, but I try to play the devil's advocate, and I try to, if there's two people in here who feel the same way and there's a third person who doesn't, I try to give an unbiased, it's not going to be unbiased, but I try to give,
Well,
I
I'll
try to
let
be
you
on, I
go.
try to be on their side, right? But basically what I'm saying here is like, I definitely have contradictory points of views from what you guys are saying, but I just want to interject questions into what you're going on to. So like, the
Go ahead.
question that I have, because it's not my personal differences, it's just I'm super open to, I don't understand, I don't know, I don't believe to understand, I don't pretend to know. So one question that I have is, when we're talking about these impacts and these the crater impacts on the earth and the effects that they've had throughout history, the
mhm.
question that remains is, how old do you believe the earth is and civilization has been on the earth? And then once again, whether or not you believe that it's billions of years old or thousands of years old, how long have human beings been on the earth, right? Because there's evidence to show from both points of view, depending on how you look. We talked about carbon dating before and all this sort of stuff. Like, depending on how you view different pieces of information that are showing you what the history of the earth is. Once again, just to preference everything, this is just our opinions. There's nobody that knows what's going on. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. These are just all of our thoughts. And yeah, how do you guys feel? We're going to start with Uncle Chetty, and then we'll move on to Dusty.
Well, that's actually, I mean, apparently there's a few scientists that say, if you could turn back the Bible, you just find fossils on top of fossils, right? I presume the Earth is really old, and my presumption on religion is just that something bad happened at one point in time, and nobody wants that shit to happen ever again. And I'm not saying anything towards one person or another. Like, the fucking world lit on fire and they had no idea what was going on. A giant rock, hellfire and brimstone, and great floods. They had nothing to do but write a story about it and say, let's be nice to each other. And I'm telling you, that's how religion started. And it's the same way. Any religion is almost the exact thing verbatim. And
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree that a lot
I
of
guess
religions
that's
are
my
similar.
thing. So to answer your question in entirely, the Earth's really old. I think there was people for probably 10 to 30,000 years ago.
Okay. Well, I do believe that the Earth is over 4 billion years old. Um, I can't say for certain how long or if civilizations were on this planet before we were, but I think that uh, the modern human hominid has been around for approximately 50 to 100,000 years in one form or another as it evolved, and we are the current evolution of the hominid, and we'll be evolving into something else in due time. It's not a process that happens overnight. It takes thousands of years for an evolution to happen. And prior to 100,000 years ago, there could have been a civilization that predated us. Another, maybe not exactly the same as we are, but similar. And we have, like I said, we have 65 million years of unaccounted for history that we just have no clue of anything that happened in that time. And I don't think the earth was barren through all of that. There had to be something there. If we evolved over 100,000 years, that is 600, or sorry, yeah, 650 separate evolutions of humans that could have happened in that time frame. Prior to that, the dinosaurs were here for approximately 300 million years. And prior to that, the oceans were only inhabited with all form of sea creature and the like. Oh, you're pointing at me?
Oh, someone asked who's talking.
Oh, sorry. And and then we go back to the primordial soup, as they call it, where the earth was a ball of fire in its infancy, which is what created the proteins that we needed to have life on the planet. So that's where I come from with my stance on my responses.
So, from what I've heard from the both of you, and then my response here now, um, I agree with both of you. And so this is the thing, like, because I'm coming from this, like, from a very, very central point of view, whereas, like, I don't have a firm belief. I have my firm spiritual beliefs, but this is why I say, I know, Uncle Chetty there. You're not a political guy. He's not. He doesn't deal with any of this. We're just having good conversations tonight about random stuff, and I thank you for
Absolutely.
this because this is what I want the channel to be. This is what I want to move towards, just like good conversations around random stuff like this. And if you're into that sort of thing, definitely join the channel and come into the chat, and we'll have lots of really good random conversations. But it always, because like this is who I am, right? And so like I know that I always bring this back, but it does relate. All of this stuff relates into, it's not that it's political, it's not that it's religious, it's not that it's any of that, but it does have to do with religion. um, the fact that none of us, the three of us, I don't agree with either of you two 100%, but I am open to hearing everything that you have to say, and there are things that you have said that I do agree with, and in the end we have different beliefs, but the end idea of what we believe, like the end goal or like the end thing, is the exact same. It's just how we believe it gets there. So the idea that maybe the Earth is super old, maybe the Earth is super young, maybe there is things that we have not experienced that have happened throughout our Earth's history that we are now defined. Maybe there is a whole bunch of history that we haven't, that has been suppressed from us seeing. Perhaps um,
Well, I
perhaps
think
we are
I
going to
think
see.
I think
Well, well,
in honestly, what you're trying to explain here is that we all have to question everything all the time. You can't, just because somebody is very passionate in their own desire or their own ideal or whatever else, you gotta tell them, hey, I got my own views too.
yeah, no,
Either
yeah,
come to a common
Yeah.
goal, or
100%.
let's think about it, or let's bang it back and forth.
Yeah,
Well,
100%. I definitely agree with that. But what I'm saying is that even though we don't agree 100% on everything that we're saying, there are things where it's like, just because, like, in my mind, perhaps there's an idea of a greater situation that may have led to something happening. The idea around how something happened doesn't negate the fact that it has happened. So the fact that you're saying there is all this history that we've lost, there are all these civilizations that have come, that have gone, there's all this information that has happened that we don't know now. It's like, okay, that
Well,
is
you still
information that
haven't
is
gave us
true.
your theory yet.
What was that?
You still haven't gave us your theory yet. What's your theory on the Earth? How long has it been around? Where? How many people?
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm
it's
saying.
gotta be
I
a
have,
three-part
I have,
party.
that's what I'm saying. I have
Help us
no
out.
idea. Like, I can't push it. Like, I'm super open
We
to like
want to
the
hear your
idea.
theory.
No, listen, this is what I'm saying. So like both of you are correct minds. Like I have no idea around, like I can't pinpoint whether it's 1 billion years old or whether it's 1,000 years old. I do agree that the fact that there's lots of history that we're missing. I do agree that there are civilizations that have come, that have gone, that we've lost information from. But I also equate that to a higher power and a situation that has come together throughout our culmination of history and things that we can equate to, I don't know, spiritual situations. I don't know, because I'm not a religious person. I completely disagree with all man-made religions and the formation of culminating rules into a set group of text that has been written literally by individuals the same as you and I, claiming to
So,
be
so we're
spiritual
on the
words.
same. We're on the same exact page here.
That's what I'm saying.
We
Yeah, we're
we
all on the
we
same
we
page, just
we
with different
we, we
ideas.
know we know something. Something
yeah.
started something, because something doesn't come out of nothing. We can't
Right?
explain it, and everybody's got their own explanation for it, but we just
Mhm.
Yep. And
and it goes back to the either the golden rule or the moral rule of, like, you don't
there's
want to be bad to fucking people or do anything wrong, but like
no.
there's some shit that makes you do bad things, and that's what's wrong with people. But
Well, and
something in
conversation.
your body tells you to not do that. And why is it common with everybody, every fucking person on this planet? But
Mhm.
yet we decipher it differently if there's a different religion, color, blah blah. Now we went to here, and we should have been talking about triangles.
Right?
well,
Well, Dusty, what do you think?
well, well, I was going to say that conversation would be boring if we all agreed. And conversation is how we open our minds up to new ideas and perspectives that we didn't think of, because if we don't have the conversations, and I think the conversations have been quite respectful that I've seen on this stream in the past. And yes, we don't always get along, we don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we can see where the other person's coming from, what the how they got to their conclusions, and don't we don't berate them or make them feel bad for their opinions, because opinions are yours, and we all had a different lived experience, and that's how our opinions were formed. And I really enjoy talking to people that don't agree with me, because I can actually get the perspective that I can't get by talking to an echo chamber.
I have to say this, okay? I have to say this. Thank you, Dusty, very much for saying that. I appreciate the way that you have been in the chat throughout the past few nights, and I appreciate that that has been your perspective and that's the way that you feel. Because that is what we're trying to do here. It's a place where you are going to get opinions that you don't agree with, and that's the whole situation, right? You get opinions that you don't agree with, and learning the whole point of this stream here is to understand why somebody who disagrees with the opinion that you have feels the way that they do. And that's why I ask the questions that I do. So if you come on here and you are super far left, I want to know what has made you feel that way. And if you're super far right, I want to know what has made you feel that way. And so for the people that are coming in, we can understand what makes the individual people that we are as a society feel the way that we feel. And we can discuss it, we can talk about it. Um, and so things like this it's been super good. And so people have been talking about getting moderators. Dusty, you're one of them in my mind. So like we'll have a conversation after this, but I'm
Sure.
looking for individuals. Yeah, I'm looking for individuals who I can actually trust, that won't just get rid of people in the chat. If you're trolling or you're saying things that are inflammatory, that's okay. You can make people mad, but if you're continuously saying the exact same thing over and over again, I will probably call you out, as I have other people in the chat. If you're going to keep saying the same thing, you probably want to get the attention of people that are talking, so we're going to bring it up. But if you're going to be making fun of people without any merit, or just like harassing people in the chat, that's not really okay. That's not a place that we're trying to like develop. But if you're just saying things that are making people upset and they don't like it, that is okay. You can come in and say whatever you'd like. If you disagree with what we're talking about, come in and talk about it. Request to join. You can always come to the chat, but you can always just talk about it in the chat as well. If people don't like it, that's on them. I'm sorry that you like this is it's a safe place in the sort of situation where it's a safe space if you are open to free speech. If you don't want to hear opinions that you disagree with, this isn't the place for you. And I'll tell you every day, I'm sorry, this isn't where you're going to be feeling comfortable. This isn't a place to feel comfortable. This is actually a place to push your boundaries and push your opinions. Because if you do not feel comfortable pushing your opinions, then you're not set in those opinions. If someone can't come in and tell you that your opinions are wrong and give you information to push their like if you are not validated in your own convictions after coming in and pushing them forward, having somebody push back, then you don't care, honestly. Like,
Well,
I'm
I
just
don't
telling you right now.
I don't think anybody should be coming here for validation. Validation doesn't expand your mind. Validation just reinforces the beliefs you already have. And if you're wanting to expand your mind and open yourself up to the other possibilities that exist in the world, then you have to be willing to be slightly offended or upset. Nobody
Okay,
needs to
well,
be
I'll
rude.
I'll 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 interlude here a little bit. I'll be a little bit ruse. If we're gonna worry about everybody's feelings, then we're gonna waste too much time. So let's
Exactly.
I mean, there's got to be a new topic. Has anybody ever had any?
There's aliens.
What's the best old car you ever had? You know, what were the things about your old car that you liked? Was it the ashtrays in it? Was it the cigarette lighters? Like,
The
man,
engine.
there was smoke going down the road, and it was just a nice fucking car. We don't have to worry about
Yeah.
people's feelings. Let's talk about your first car.
Yeah, man, you got the good fucking topics, man. Message me some shit. I just followed you, like, man. I remember I had a 1976. It was a Ford Maverick, and the best thing, because I didn't grow up in this era, but my favorite thing was the old push fucking the headlights, the on and off. Yeah, you push down on the floor. Oh
Yeah.
man, it was
Oh,
sick.
for the
You're just
bright.
driving, you're like, bam, fucking
Yeah.
give you a little flash. It was good,
Little boobity boop.
right?
I had two favorite vehicles. I had a '79 GMC half ton, one of those nice old square box or square bodies, and a '89 Sunbird with a turbocharged engine in it. Those were two fun vehicles. What about you, Eddie?
I bet you she'd rip Tater Chip.
Wait, what? The tater chip?
Yeah, she'd rip Tater Chip when it rips. Turbo. That's slang down here.
Oh yeah.
Neurodivergent was in here last night. I'm going to bring her into the chat. Oh, I don't know where she went, but oh, that was weird. I just brought her in and she left.
We changed topics.
Yeah. No, she came in a little bit ago, and then I just saw her there. But yeah, that's strange. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm telling you guys right now. I wanna ask you guys this question because I have this question to come up, and she's back, so I'm gonna ask all three of you guys this. This is
All right.
this has to do with kind of aliens, neurodivergent. Thanks for joining us on the chat. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Sorry about that. I think my internet had a minute, like a little moment.
You got a little, yeah. So you got a little bit something going on in the background. Maybe you got headphones in, or
Yeah, I'm gonna walk different. I'm gonna walk outside. That might be better.
oh yeah, I feel you. I see. All right, I got a question for all three of you guys, and then afterwards, if you have other things to say, you can obviously come in, Neuro. But I have this question that I wanted to just pose to you guys, and then I'm going to let all three of you go on about it, and you can start because you just came into the chat. But the question is this: this is how I feel about the idea of God, and then I want you to respond around how you feel. So, as human beings. Nobody's saying anything in the chat. I can still hear everything that's going on in the background of your
Yeah, you're not walking. You're like making soup or some shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just turned off my washer machine. You can hear what I do. Sorry, my bad.
It's okay. I was just kind of like ignored it for a minute. I was like, wait, no, I can still hear all of that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're good now.
Oh.
Okay, so
Might as well turn the water on
I
and
don't-
finish
I
what you were doing.
yeah, I don't know what you're doing. We'll bring you
Somebody
back in just a
back, like,
second. Yeah, we'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, we'll bring her back in just a second. Whenever she's done her laundry, I guess. That was good though. I don't know. That was funny. Yeah.
I'm having a fucking great time with it.
Right? It's all good. Yeah, we're just having a good time. I think I don't know. I think that she already popped back in. Okay. We'll see if it works. Okay. So I'll pose this question to you two. You two can have the floor, and then if she wants to pop back in, I will open it up to her, and then if not, then we will open it up to one other person because there's 3 spots. But okay, the question: what is God? Who is God? What is happening? And so the idea is this: us as human beings are creations of God, right? So you don't have to believe in anything right now. This is just my theory. So as God, what is God? We're creations of this God. And so you can look at it as like almost somebody who's creating a computer game, a system that works on another system. So like there's like a system that I'm creating a code that is going to interact with the system and make something. And within that something that I've created, those characters can become so aware that they understand the coding in the game and can create their own game, the exact same as I've created. Are you following so far?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm with you, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
And so,
I'm there.
okay, so these characters have become so aware that they are starting to understand the code that creates their world and what makes them. And they start using codes that they have recreated from their understanding of the code that makes up their own world to make a simulation or their own video game or whatever they want to consider it, right? And so my idea of God is somebody as the creator of that video game. No matter how complex those characters get, no matter how much of that code that they break down and realize and the world around them that they break down and make, they will never understand the mind of the creator that made that game. And so when we look at God, we can't understand. Like, there's literally no way for us to even come close to understanding what's going on. So I don't even try. I don't even, like, that's how I consider myself an atheist, where I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even try to consider it. It's just outside the boundaries of what I could even fathom to believe,
Is
in
it
my
possible
opinion.
for me to take a crack when you're done?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All
You can
right.
come in now.
Okay, so I am totally aligned with exactly what you're trying to say. My perception of the same thing, it was actually, well, they've talked about it everywhere. They gave man free will. So they knew about this code and they said, okay, I mean, it's talked about in every religion. So Adam and Eve, don't eat the apple. We ate the fucking apple. God's sitting here thinking, whether it is necessarily a Christian God or anything else, I'm just telling a one part of a story of many religions. It's like, don't eat the apple. What's he do? He eats the apple and he fucks Eve, and then gets in trouble for it. The explanation of the codes is there. It's, when is there a generalized notion that we have to realize we're on this floating ball in the middle of fucking nowhere, and we all can recognize that we all exist, we all know what's going on, and we have telescopes we can look out, and it's like, what the hell made us? Who is said God? Whether it's whatever form of what you want to call it, but to your notion, the code of everybody doing bad or good, anything else, it's written down. They knew that shit a long time ago, whether it was Hindu or anything else. Don't do bad shit. Don't fuck even, but like, and eat the apple. But we're all
Okay.
talking the same jive.
All
And I'm
right,
done.
Dusty, how about you, man?
Uh, I I don't really believe in a lot when it comes to God and creation. Uh, I like get solace in thinking that there's something more out there. I don't think it's like we have in the religious books. I don't think there's an omnipotent being watching over our every move and you know cares whether or not we pray or worship them. I think it's more of a just an observer. It's almost like a person would watch an ant farm. They just they're there. They're intrigued by what's going on down with us, but they don't interfere. They don't do anything. They just watch us for lack of a better term, amusement. And I like to believe that when we do finally pass on, that we just don't we just cease to exist anymore. I mean, that's a terrifying thought. Just you're one day here and you're one day not the next day nothing. So if all en- if there has to be something else out there, I hope it exists, but I really don't know. This is a subject that I'm not good to talk on, that's for sure.
There she is. Her laundry's done.
Brought in the order.
Hey.
How you
I'm
doing
in the
there?
basement. Hopefully it's not loud anymore. I don't think it should be. I'm hiding from my kids because I'm very loud.
There's something going on with with your microphone. It's like saying, yeah,
No.
it's super loud, super whooshy.
Really?
He's getting feedback from the actual live.
Yeah, maybe the live's too loud. If you had
Yeah.
like headphones, that would definitely help, I think.
Is that any better or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Should I answer or?
Yeah, you're good. Floor is
Go
yours.
ahead.
I think that I used to be Christian. Granted, I think now I'm more of a spiritual person. I think we're all connected. There's, of course, we all have anecdotal evidence that makes us believe whatever we believe. There are certain things that defy logic. I like to take a scientific approach with a lot of things. I think religion's often used to control and oppress and kind of like justify certain behaviors for one group to benefit against other groups. So I don't really believe in religion. I think it causes most wars because there's so many extremists that use religion as a weapon to harm, and that's across the board. It's all religions. I'm not just blaming one or the other. Um, so I associate that more with violence and supremacy because they feel like justified, like, when people use religion to kill or harm or take away rights from other humans. Which ironically is what kind of turned me away from it because I watched so many times people who claim to be for freedom then use religion to take away people's rights. I'm like, wait a minute, that's against freedom. That doesn't match, especially in America. We're supposed to have separation of church and state, but we don't many times, and that kind of bothers me because I'm like, it's conflicting. So for me, I kind of believe we're all interconnected. I do believe we all have, somewhat of a soul because energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but also if it can't be destroyed, it has to go somewhere after we die. So I do believe in some sort of an afterlife, but I don't know what would happen or where we would go. But I know if energy cannot be destroyed, it's not like it goes in the ground with us. I don't believe that for 1 second as our corpse rots or whatever. No, I'm sorry, I'm very graphic when I speak.
No,
Um,
no, no, you're good. I want to ask a question though. I want to ask this to all three of you, okay? And so we're gonna start with Uncle and then go up three because I'm sure you can see the screen. It's a question that you just brought up and sparked in my head. So the fact that energy cannot be destroyed; it can only be displaced or transferred. This isn't just a theory. This is a scientific fact. This is something that can be demonstrated and reproven and scientifically demonstrated. You can actually do this. This isn't like we're talking about like, oh well, what's gravity? I'm pretty sure that it's this, and I have a theory that this could happen, and I can't really continuously show you the same results every time, but it should work this way. It's like, no, energy cannot, it doesn't just dissipate, it goes somewhere.
Yeah, it's a law of
It has been
physics.
proven. Yeah, it has been proven. We do know this, plain and simple. It's not even theoretical science. This is just happens. And we know that human beings collect energy as spiritual beings, but as just human beings in general. We collect energy, we produce energy, and we have energy within our being. And so the question is, like you said, when we pass away, what happens with that energy and where does the displacement of that energy go and what is the energy that we hold in our bodies? I'd like to pose the question to you guys. We'll start with Uncle Chetty. How do you feel?
Well, I'm gonna be a kind of a thorn in your bum here for a second because there's particle, there's wave theory, there's everything else about energy, right? Yes, Hawkins says that you cannot create or blah blah blah. Whoever said you can't create or destroy. However, particles degrade over time, so eventually things will go away. Now it's trillions and bajillions of years. You can look it up on Google, whatever. What I'm
Mhm.
going to grab onto here is what is like psychological, or like what is our knowledge of energy, or like why do people converse, why do we have feelings, and it's not just a chemical reaction, this is how your body is. Why are we conscious and consciousness? And I guess my best theory is you would, when you pass on, you maybe grab onto that and live whatever memory you're living and let it be. But if you can't explain consciousness right now, then you really can't explain energy on just if you die, because what just came in here and sparkled something for me to be either more funny or more rogue than anybody else, than somebody else to be more, well, I'm just bland and I'm shy. Like, if you can explain that to me, then let's go ahead. But that's consciousness, so I'll leave it at that.
I want everybody else to respond, but I do want to respond to this. I agree with you, and I do feel as though there's different levels of energy that people displace, but that is what makes, at least in my opinion, what makes up each individual person who they are. And so, even though tonight may not be a significant moment in your life, it may be a significant moment in the grand scheme of things that play out in the way that your life portrays itself. I guess like the way that you formulate, the way that you live your life. And so maybe I don't know you from a stick in the ground, so like I don't know if you are eccentric. I don't know if tonight was the first time you decided, hey, I'm gonna actually go out and speak my mind, and all of a sudden it turned out really well. So like for everybody else in the crowd, like it could be a time where they don't ever speak out, and like you know what I mean, where it's like, okay, and like regardless, even if this tonight was not a time that you normally speak out, but tonight
This
you
is
did
the
speak
first
out, you
live I've
finally,
ever been on.
right? In the same sort of situation. So like it could be a moment that sparks something in your life that further down the road is a catalyst that if this didn't happen, there would not be many other things that happened in your life that had happened because you gained the confidence from some simple act, from hitting a button and saying, I'm going to just speak my mind. And that's what builds that, like that sort of energy. Like you said, it does come and go. The spark from tonight may come and go, but the building and the in the end result, and like the way that like your life travels, right? We're all on different paths, right? And so you made a choice and they all go a different way, and so in the end, all of these choices that you've made have led you to this certain point. And some people are down this terrible path because they made a whole bunch of terrible choices. And even though they're not like a bad person, they're just negative all the time. They're just always talking badly to people that are around them. They don't take they take everybody for granted. And like they're just little things. And in the end of their life, they're very, like their whole spiritual being is very negative, and they haven't really perpetuated any positive emotions. And so little things that always perpetuate positive emotions in the end do uh, accumulate into something greater than just the physical one moment that you may have. And so in the end, if you have a whole bunch of positive energy in your body, or you have a whole bunch of negative energy, I say this all the time, you walk into a funeral, that's not going to feel anything close to if you walk into a birthday party. And so the energy doesn't mix. You can't have negative energy with positive energy. They don't come together. And so where do they go? If you're a negative person, where does that energy go? If you're a positive person, where does the energy go? Dusty, we're going on to you. How do you feel?
Well, when we die, some of our energy is transformed into decomposition because energy can be transformed, not be destroyed, but it can be transformed. But when it comes to the consciousness of a person, the energy that is in our brains that makes us who we are, that individual aspect of every one of us, I honestly, that is where belief comes in, that it becomes something else, that it continues on. And whether it's whether you believe in heaven or reincarnation or any of the multitude of different theories behind what happens when we die, I I think that our consciousness does go somewhere. It it leaves the body, goes somewhere else, becomes a different form of energy somehow, but it doesn't cease to be an individual, as it were, its own unique energy. Whereas our bodies decompose, create heat, and we become dust, as it were, and nutrients for the ground and everything else. Um, I'm trying to remember what you just said there about the positive and negative energies. Uh, Negative energy really does attract negative energy, and positive energy does attract positive energy. You very often see groups of happy people together, and they will not go near someone who is just absolutely miserable. They avoid it. Um, I think negative energy is more powerful than positive energy in its ability to transfer to people. It's a lot easier for a negative person to bring everyone else around them down than it is for a positive person to bring everyone else around them up. So I do think the two energies are opposites. They repel each other, but the negative energy is more powerful than the positive energy, which is why we have a lot more trouble being positive in our lives than we do of finding all the bad and negative that goes on.
I completely agree. I thank you for that, and I'm gonna move it on to neuro in just a second, but I'm going to address that because it also has sparked something in my head that I want to just push onto the table as well. I completely agree with you that positive energy and negative energy have completely different levels of which they can push into the individual. And so negative energy, I completely agree, is so much easier to push into individuals and to invoke in somebody's nature. You can make somebody angry like that, like super instant, and it's going to be angry. Positive energy takes a little bit longer. But the two differences that I can at least say, in my opinion, is that negative energy is super quick and it comes and it goes. So as quick as negative energy can come, it can leave just like that. With positive energy, it's a very slow. It's not very hard. It's very hard to get into somebody's mind and make them happy. But once you do, that energy is so much stronger than the negative energy that it's harder to get rid of. So like negative energy can come and go like that, super fleeting. It's like, yep, I can make somebody angry just like that, and they're going to be triggered. But if you make somebody happy, it's going to be a long-lasting positive effect. So there's two different emotions, but I completely agree with you. And now we're going to move it on to neurodivergent, see how you feel. What are your opinions on everything we've been talking about? And we'll wrap it all around in the end, and we'll have a good open conversation.
Well, to touch on a couple things, I think energy, what you're talking about, the positive and negative, yes, when we're around negative, it also affects our health. And a lot of people don't realize that. If you are a person with deep empathy, you have to be very careful who you let around you. I think a lot of my chronic illnesses, along with many other people I know, including my own grandmother who died, of a bunch of illnesses. Sometimes we absorb that negative energy and we hold it in our body. If we care deeply enough to a person, I know, like, I believe in instances where you will feel someone's pain literally in your own body. I've had it happen to me. I don't care if people think I'm nuts if I say that. It doesn't happen with everybody, just people I have deep connections with. I'll have unexplained pain and then they call me and say they hit their elbow and I say, which one? They go, my left one. And I go, oh, well, that explains it. And it's weird. It doesn't quite make sense, but it's something that I know a few other people have had. So we have to be very careful to protect our energy, but also I think that sometimes we do leave bits of our memory and energy behind. When you hear people talk about poltergeist type activity or things flying across the room, that's usually after a bunch of negativity. I think poltergeists are just a manifestation of your depression, kind of, in a way, or horrible life experiences or trauma that kind of stick on the earth. Because if a significant amount of energy has been released, or if pain or suffering, and I jokingly say that's why America's got awful luck. I mean, we're kind of built on a ton of burial ground, like that's pretty negative energy. So like that's why it is important. But I also feel that when you're positive, you will bring more positivity towards yourself. You notice if you have a day where you wake up late and then everything goes wrong and it's like a thing, and as the day goes on, things get worse and worse. And the more you rush, the more you break something, drop something, lose something. I think that's just you manifesting more negativity towards yourself without realizing it. Like, I think we cause most of our own suffering. It's just some of us are woken up to it, some of us are not. But then some of us also have the generational curses and traumas that if our parents didn't heal, guess what? Now we get to deal with their crap and our crap, but they'll never admit to their crap, kind of thing. And, so then you have to do the healing of multiple generations, which is not easy. Um, but I think when you pass, it does go somewhere. Maybe some of it could get stuck in an object. I do believe that. I do believe some of us stick around and do look after our loved ones. I've had things that I can't quite explain, and I've met other people who've also had things they can't explain. I've had sensations or experiences that are very strange. And I don't care if people are like, think it's silly or whatever, but I know I'm not alone in that. So I think it goes somewhere. I think some of us come back. I think when we get that deja vu feeling, it's because we have, experienced something or at least had a playback of our life before we entered the next body. And that's our deja vu, is that moment where we're like, I've been here. No, you've seen it before when you first were entering this body. You were like giving a little timeline of, hey, this is what's going to happen. And boom, now you're going, ooh, wow, okay, this feels familiar. So, like, I think a lot of that, I feel like we do come back. For many of us, I think some of us do get stuck here for whatever reason. And again, like, I don't pretend to know what the reasons are or, have any clarity or confirmation of what I think actually is going on, because I only know this much. But I do believe that our energy goes places, and I only have my own experiences and those that I've studied to go off of. So that's just how I feel. And I feel like, we really have to try to do our best to care for others' energy as well. Even if we're having a rough day, like, we have to remember that everyone around us is pretty much traumatized. Almost all people, not all. I'm not saying it judgmentally. It's just we have no idea what battle someone else is facing in their life. And even if we're angry or somebody said something that went against our beliefs, we have to remember that they might have a reason for that anger, or so I try to live that way the best I can, and some days I'm okay and other days not so much, but I try. So that's
Yeah.
better.
That was a good response. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And once again, that sparked a question in my head. So I'm going to pose it to all three of you. And I'm going to push this question just so that we can have a conversation about it. The idea of individuals, the residual energy of individuals being trapped, or I could say in another way, almost like a recording of the trauma, the trauma the trauma that the individuals would have felt um, in that time, because the energy was so high. So here's the question that I have. That was just like a weird way to frame it. As we know,
Is that
quartz.
a penguin?
Pardon?
Sorry, I thought it was a flamingo. Sorry.
As we know, quartz. We don't understand all of the properties that quartz crystals hold, but we do know that they are very good for helping in the production of recording information and storing digital information, which is interesting to say the least. And so, on a residual level, energy being transferred from human beings, as we don't fully understand what type of energy we hold and how it is displaced. And then we don't fully understand how quartz crystals hold energy, but we do understand that they can record digital information. How is the energy displaced? And perhaps areas of high quartz concentrates could hold residual energy from individuals who have maybe had high traumatic events happen, not even at their passing, but just in general, and have those events perhaps in the way you could say recorded into like almost imprinted into the areas around imprinted into those areas that have a high quartz concentrate. And so it's a very high conspiracy. I don't know anything about it. I'm not like a scientist. I don't know shit. I'm maybe just talking out my ass. But it's just a question, right? So imagine you have a whole bunch of energy. Quartz is a an element within the world, within the earth, that holds energy and that will help in storing information, and then you die in a traumatic event, or you just have a very high traumatic event happen where your energy levels are very high, and you're in this area that has a lot of quartz, and that energy is transferred into those somehow transferred into this area, and then in retrospect, individuals who are in this area in the future or at any point in time somehow are being exposed to these events that have been recorded within the area. You guys feel me?
with events recorded in the area.
Yeah.
Dude, you crack me up.
Super conspiracy mode tonight.
I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that. I don't
No.
really I don't think quartz does hold energy, but that's just because I really haven't looked into crystals and all that much, so I don't really think I should offer too much of an opinion on that. But based on what you said, that'd be
Well,
kind of
Dusty, can
cool.
I give it a crack?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so here in Iowa, there's nothing but limestone and quartz. That's all they mine. You can get one that's about as big as your head tomorrow. So if I've got some energy sinking in some quartz, it ain't happening for me. So
That's
it's
what I'm
nice
saying.
to
You got a
be
lot of ghosts in Iowa?
like there is just nothing but quartz everywhere. I will send you a fucking box full of it. Sorry to break stride here, but back to
Yeah,
the
see,
original thing
look at
about
I'm bringing if neurodivergent comes back in, she's telling you. She's telling you about your own state. She's saying Iowa's haunted as fuck.
oh man,
Boy,
it's
she's like, it's
wild.
haunted as fuck, boy. It's haunted as fuck, boy. You got some hauntings going
Yeah,
on.
I told
And
you
if you
there's
don't
some
have
crystals
quartz,
around here. Must be sucking in everybody's bad energy. This is shit.
If you got quartz, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm telling you for days. Like I will send you boxes of it. Like, but either way,
Send me
You-
boxes of
if we were gonna
ghosts.
reel it back in.
Right.
Here,
want
take all
these
these.
stickers
Take
as
them.
content, and they send you the ghost.
Yeah.
So you want that box of quartz?
No, you need me, Casper.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I don't know.
But no, but I mean, it goes back to the same conversation. If we'll reel it back in, same conversation. If you can explain consciousness to me, then you can explain where you're going to store either negative or positive energy. There ain't nothing about, you can tell when somebody's radiating some bad shit. That's just bad shit all in general. You can tell it by their demeanor, their body language, everything. You know that's a bad person. And you know that's kind of either that's conscious energy. If it's
No, man.
positive
But
or
what you're saying,
negative,
like,
where do you store it?
no.
How do you
Yeah,
store it?
but what you're saying is like the consciousness idea, though, is like the consciousness idea of that comes from you. You know that person's feeling weird. How do you know? It's like
No,
that's how
but
you're
I'm
conscious,
gonna
right?
throw this back to you. You tell me how two fish know what the fuck's going on hanging out with
They
each
don't,
other.
do
They're
they?
not
That's the
conscious,
question.
and then
I don't
we
think they are.
we can do that. We just go to school, we have a good time, and there's just two fish hanging out, just be like, hey, we're fish. Like, you gonna eat that worm? Like, I don't know, maybe you can. Like, that's what they do. And we're talking about
I
giant
know.
triangles in the fucking desert.
Maybe this triangle was made. I don't know if it was made before or after, or if somebody did it.
Yeah, now we're talking about two fish eating shit. Oh, she's back. Hey,
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope.
vibes.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
How's it going?
All right. So we're talking
Yeah.
about crystals and spirits, I guess.
Crystals,
Yeah.
ghosts, and fish.
Okay. That's
He's about
broad.
got it.
But no, I think I think things can be left behind in objects. I think when you see like those haunted areas, you ever see a haunted museum where they have tons of haunted objects that move by themselves and everything else? Like, I don't know how you feel about a lot of that stuff, but I think that's like kind of goes with that theory that we can imprint some of our energy into objects as well. And that's, you're talking about the energy being dispelled in a certain area. I think that's what causes what are known as hauntings. And it can affect multiple people's timelines, which again confirms that we are all connected. Like we are all one consciousness. And I think that a lot of things like our world and our government and even religions to some degree are meant to divide us, separate us, and disconnect us from each other and the earth. And that's when everything kind of goes to a dark place, so to speak. When our connections are disrupted, that's when our energy turns negative and dark. That's when we're filled with anger and hate and resentment. And, that's what I think happens. So that's just my personal philosophy.
So I'm glad that at least you and I agree that things can be imprinted into like certain objects, and there's a certain like weird craziness about it. These two don't think so apparently, but that's okay because we're all here to have the conversation.
I don't
because it
know
does
enough
seem,
on the subject to have.
yeah, none of us know. Yeah, none of us know. None of us know, right? That's the whole thing. It
Well,
sounds crazy, but none of us really know, and that's why it's interesting.
I
But
can
what
talk
I want,
about
like,
the fish.
yeah.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll just have to go back and visit them after we pass. Change their
we'll have to
minds. Haunt them.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, I think that perhaps things can be imprinted in objects. Perhaps we'll see. Well, I don't know. Basically, the question that I have for all three of you is:
Bring it.
I've done quite a bit of. I wouldn't call it ghost hunting myself, but I do. So I live in Ontario, and we have a lot of abandoned homes throughout the countryside, and it's a huge hobby here, just like urban exploring. And so I've done a lot of urban exploring, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I go out, if I ever get scared a little bit or like, oh, this is like uneasy, turn on your camera. That's what I always say to everybody. If you think that you're gonna see a ghost, turn on your camera. I turn on my camera. Ghosts are allergic to cameras. They will never come out if they have a camera turned on. Yeah, you're fine. No one's coming out. Nothing's gonna hurt you. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. And if you do see a ghost, wow, you get the $1 million shot. Finally, somebody saw a ghost firsthand. But I have never once. Every single time I've gotten worried, just turn on the camera, and I felt absolutely fine. Nothing.
Did
Nothing
you
ever
ever-
comes out.
Did you ever think that maybe the ghost is behind you, wondering what you're recording?
I've done it. I've flipped the camera behind me and like done a little walk around. Nothing comes out. I'm telling you, like I've tried it. I want to see a ghost. I want to see them. I am out there. I'm out there trying to see them. I'm down because I'm the kind of guy that's like, I bet you there's a ghost. I bet there has to be a ghost, and there's never a fucking ghost. Like I want to see one.
Maybe they're just shy and they're like, whoa, this guy's really forward. He didn't even buy me a drink, nothing. And he's like, get over here.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They're like, geez, he's not even taking me on a date. Like nothing. He didn't even offer me anything. Maybe you gotta offer them a gift.
Too pushy. Yeah, what do you guys think? Have you ever been in like an abandoned house or in like sort of situation that you thought was haunted, or like have you ever seen a ghost or any sort of experience like that? Let's start up the top and move downward.
Oh gosh. A few times. Well, a lot of times my whole family kind of does. It starts with shadow people, especially the one with the hat. Me, my daughter, and my grandma all see that. Aside from that, after surgeries, I've smelled the smell of cherry tobacco, which was my grandpa's favorite tobacco, in the hospital room, which makes no sense. I've also, heard sounds and like whispers and crying, but never could really understand exactly what was said, like words wise. And then aside from that, I mean, I've seen them, shadows that usually move very quickly, like in and out of corners. But then you go to chase it with your eyes and it's gone. And this could happen in the broad daylight, not just at night. Then aside from that, I mean, I don't know, like I've had a lot. I could tell you whole long stories, but it would take way longer than, we're all going to be here. So there's also a lot of like haunted places I've gone to here in Jersey. We have a lot of weird paranormal stuff here in New Jersey. I don't know if you guys ever heard about it. We even have a magazine called Weird New Jersey talking about all of it. So, there's a lot of dark things that have happened here too historically. So I think that that's a big part of why. a lot of death and suffering. And, a lot of places in America are like that though. But yeah, I've definitely seen multiple things, apparitions, sounds, felt things, had all the hair on my neck stand up and my head and ooh, and felt things too. I felt a tap on the shoulder and turned around and nothing is there, and that's pretty much it. So
Yeah.
lots of things, but I think some of us just can see, and I don't know, some of us feel them better than others. I didn't like it when I was little, because I've seen it since I was little. Because sometimes they don't all show up. Like you'll see part of their body, but not their whole body. Like if you just see a head floating in the bushes, it's kind of not cool when you're 5 years old. So that part was not so nice. That definitely gave me nightmares. But yeah, I used to not tell anybody though because I was afraid of what people would think until I started noticing multiple family members of mine also had just unique experiences, and it kind of made me feel more comfortable. But I think everybody is a little bit different. So some of us just get more luck in that department. Some of us who are maybe a bit more skeptical or maybe just haven't listened or were able to, I guess, connect. Unfortunately, I don't think have as much luck, but I think it's unique person to person. But I think it's something you can get or gain a skill if you work hard enough and long enough at connecting. And that's just my thought.
Oh, I appreciate that. Those are very
Thank
great
you.
words.
Hmm.
Dusty, on to you.
Yeah, I believe ghosts exist. Uh, I, that energy, that consciousness that we were talking about earlier, that I said I don't know where it goes. There's no reason it couldn't be just floating around as ghosts, as our way of explaining it. Um, we've I've woken up with that feeling of somebody watching over me, knowing who that feeling of the person is, and it's someone who has passed on, and I've had it more than a couple of times with different family members, feeling that they're just there in the room with you, and at a time when it was the perfect time for them to be there, whether they're there in physical form or they're in just energy that you feel. Um, I've also done the go look at haunted houses and walk through the abandoned buildings in Saskatchewan, and yeah, there's some stuff that happens that you just can't explain. That feeling that you get that something ain't right. Um, I get the same feeling when I go down to places like Frank's Slide. It's You just get an uneasy feeling in the area. There's something that's just not quite normal about standing in the site of a massive tragedy, and an entire town was wiped off the face of the planet in a mountain collapsing on it, and there were no survivors, and everyone is still buried underneath that rubble. And it's you go in there and it does feel like time just stopped when you're in that area. It doesn't feel like the rest of the world. It's an eerie feeling. So absolutely, I believe in spirits.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'd like to look into that more. That's really cool. Really interesting. Uncle Chechi, how do you feel?
Oh, we're back to this again. So I have a different rub here. All right. So once again, we go back to quite simply, if we can explain consciousness, we can explain how we feel. Now, if everybody goes into a dark room or anything else that's very unfamiliar to them, there's an instinctive thing because we are also, animals. There's an instinctive thing to like, don't go in a dark room or don't jump down a big dark hole, like, or don't climb the tree, excuse me, everything. Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, there
Don't
are
do something
things
that is
that
instinctively
your
bad.
body says instinctively to not do, and it gives you an uneasy feeling. Death is also going to be one of them. You don't see a bunch of other animals hanging out around another bunch of dead animals, like
But
there's
you do.
instinctive things.
You do see that
Well,
in animals.
well,
Elephants do it.
okay, so they will mourn the loss because they don't understand what's happening. Well, in a rebuttal, but I'm gonna just keep going here. What I'm trying to say is there is an instinctive energy or consciousness. So you can't. Who am I to say that an elephant or a dolphin isn't conscious? Of course they're conscious. But what I'm trying to say is like, if you guys can pinpoint to me what that is, who originated it, and why do we have it so prominently than somebody else, I will give you my entire life savings.
Hmm. It's a very good question. With that being said, we're gonna wrap up this stuff. We're gonna head to the end of the session. But I'm gonna give you each of you the floor. We're gonna start at the top again and go back down, and you can all say what's on your mind, give your last thoughts, anything that's going on, anything that you have to say, and final opinions. So we'll go with Neuro and then head down.
Just that I believe in the afterlife, but my phone is dying yet again because I just suck at plugging it in. And it was nice talking to you guys, and
Same.
you know, it was
Yeah.
nice. Have a great night, and hopefully you catch some ghosts soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope so too. Thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Dusty, how do you feel?
Well, I'm going to address the question. Yes, aliens do exist. The pyramids are very weird structures and unexplainable. And in relation to the fish and the worm that we brought up earlier, the big fish takes the worm. He doesn't ask for it. But it's been a good conversation yet again, and you all have a good night as well.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
have a
Thank you
good
for
night.
joining us. All right, Uncle
Oh,
Teddy,
and finally
what do you
me. You can't end on me. I'm just some ding dong.
say?
I suppose to Dusty's reply on answering your question, do aliens exist? I mean, as we think about them, probably either not to our knowledge or a long ways away. Something's out there that's making a chemical reaction like we are right now. We are just respirating. We're just taking something in and something out. So there's probably a complex chemical reaction out there that we'll call life. So yes, aliens. The other one about energy and all that stuff, like I'm trying to say, like between the triangles and consciousness, if you can explain the triangles and how you just, why do we have this chance to even talk to each other on the internet right now? Boom. That is
Yeah.
a weird thing to, that's a weird drip. Like,
It
why does
is.
that happen? And
Yeah.
like you don't, and I understand that elephants mourn the loss of another, or there's compassion for every mother, or whatever, to their offspring. But why are we just chilling, hanging out on a podcast right now, talking about life? We are talking about why we're existing. They're sympathizing why their fucking little baby's dead. We're trying to figure out why we are living. But sorry to drag this on, but that's something
No,
to
it's
think
true.
about more than anything else. Why is there
No,
triangles and why do we exist?
right? It is very true. Very good question. And I have the same question, right? That's the whole thing. I'm thankful that you came on tonight because it gave everything a good, different perspective, and the whole reason why we do these streams to have
Thank you,
real,
man. Thank you
honest
for even having me
discussions.
on. I'm sorry I was a belligerent fuck, but
You're
appreciate it.
all good. You're very good. Thank you for coming on. Hopefully you come on again soon.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
You too.
Thank you. Yeah, good conversations once again. Always good. Always a good conversation in the chat. And yeah, sometimes the conversation doesn't always go with what we put up on the board, but we switched to "Do aliens exist?" which kind of encompassed all of what we were talking about tonight. And that's the whole thing. We all have fun thoughts that we can discuss and come together and have good conversations about. So that's what it's all about. That's what I'm here to do. My name's Elder. This is the Open Debate. If you're into weird. If you're into conversations that are pushing the boundaries of what you may believe, come on into the chat. Follow the channel. And share this to anybody who you may feel as though doesn't agree, because that's who we want in the channel. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat, everybody who's in here and having a good conversation. And thank you for everybody who's come into the live stream tonight. We will get everybody in who would like to request to join in the future and have more good conversations. My name is Elder. This has been The Open Debate. If you don't know, well, be your own hero, kids.